Good morning, Boonies. How we doing? Happy Monday. Okay, so over the weekend, someone on Twitter brought something to my attention. Over 25 years ago, okay, let's just keep this in mind. There were allegations made against James Owens, Sarah's latest attorney. There's an 81-page Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigation on it. It was pretty detailed. We read through it. Sam and I both read through it. I think the easiest thing to say is no criminal charges were ever brought against him. This has nothing to do with his ability to represent Sarah. Nothing to do with her being charged for the murder of George. And I guess I want to keep it at that. It's an interesting story, but I'd prefer not to be sued. So I'm going to stay away from it for that reason. Now, since no charges were ever filed and it involved other lawyers, I mean, there's a lot of people in the Milton area in Florida that this whole thing involved. If you guys want to go search for it, it's on Twitter. If you want to read it, I'm sure there'll be a YouTuber jump on it. I'm sure there will be. I just can't. I can't do it. I'm just too fearful. We're getting into an area where, well, first of all, an area that's not even, has nothing to do with the case that we're looking at. It says a little bit about his character, but it has nothing to do with what Sarah did. And honestly, probably nothing to do with how he's going to a defender. So he's a very, let's say he's a very arrogant man, but you know, a lot of attorneys are, and a lot of attorneys have to be. So that being said, I want to look at something else today. So we've previously revisited the interview with Melissa Sexton, who is the apartment manager, kind of gone through that, added some commentary. I think we did the same with Brian. Did we not? Maybe I haven't done that yet. I don't remember. I know we did Vinny's. So I wanted to listen to Jorge Torrez' brother one more time. That's one I've listened to probably the least amount. And I know there's some good tidbits in there for us to pay attention to. So again, we're trial prepping. We're getting ready for what to anticipate coming up on October the 7th, just a month away. So let's get to it. The last time he spoke with George was the evening of February 23rd. They had a 4-minute phone call, and he said the conversation went really well. He didn't think that George was drunk.
Today's date is February 26, 2020. The time now is approximately 13:22 hours. This is in reference to Orange County case number 20-017904. I'm currently located in my unmarked agency vehicle outside of a yard in Orlando, Florida. In the car with me is my partner,
Scott Lower.
And in the front seat is, sir, can you state your name for me?
Juan Torres.
And your birthday?
31.
Okay. And you are the brother to Jorge Torrez?
Yes.
Okay. Your parents had explained to me that you had a conversation with George a few days ago. Do you recall that specific date?
Yes. It was Sunday.
On Sunday. So.
Okay, so this was February the 26th. George passed on the 24th. So it's been 2 days since his brother died.
So Sunday, we're looking at the calendar together, the 23rd?
The 23rd.
Okay, so February 23rd, you guys had a conversation. Do you recall what time that conversation took place?
7:30. Well, it finished at 7:30.
Do you remember what time it started? Do you by any chance still have it in your call log?
Does it do it when... So it had to be 7:30. Because when you call it, clocks it. It doesn't do it at the end. It starts it.
It starts it, and
so
then it tells you how long you talked for.
So it was 7:30. Huh?
Okay. If you do have it in your call log, I'd love to take a picture of it if you still have it.
It's on there. Sun over here.
So it'd be Sarah. Okay. If you click, I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
There we go. Do you mind if I take a photo?
No, it's fine.
Okay. And so it says you received an incoming call at 7:30, and you guys spoke for 4 minutes.
Yes. We was talking. I was playing dominoes with my kids and my wife, and at first I wasn't gonna pick it up. Then I picked up,
Okay.
because they were always fighting and stuff with the alcohol. So he started talking to me. He was calm, so I was like, "Oh, okay." So I put it on speaker. So my kids are there, like they joke around with him, and he was joking around with them, and we're talking. He's talking to me about when we was kids, and then like a couple minutes after that, that's when I hear in the back start arguing with him. No, I have to call my brother. I have to talk to him, and he's like, no, I'm talking to my brother. It was her.
Okay. I can't help it, but I've got to say something right here. Anytime the attention goes away from Sarah and onto somebody else, it doesn't have to be a female. It could be anybody in George's life. Sarah gets upset and has to do whatever she has to do to get his attention. Y'all, I think that's so key and so telling.
Her phone, and then she starts arguing and telling him that, no, tell him what you've been doing to me. You choked me, this and that. But he was calm, and he was like, okay, I gotta let you go. And then he said, I love you. And then I told him I love you.
That's sad.
Basically, that was it.
So she yells in the background, tell him what you've been doing to me.
Yeah.
You've been choking me.
Yeah.
Did you ask him anything about that?
No, because the thing with them, they would fight and they would hit each other. Because there was times he came here and she had hit him with a phone and he had a black eye. So it was like...
Did you witness that?
I didn't get to see it, but he told me himself.
Okay. So you guys know that there's domestic between the two?
Between them. And I told them, get out of there, get out of there. I would tell them, leave. And what's crazy...
Unfortunately, I wonder if they won't be able to bring that in. He said that she threw a phone and hit him, and he had a black eye from it. But he didn't see it. He was just told about it from George.
Is that he would leave, come here, and she would call and tell him to come back, and she would come and get him. So she had the car, he didn't have a car.
Right.
And if you guys notice the verbiage they're using here, he's not saying she would call and try to get him back or talk him into coming back or she wanted him to come back. It's none of that. Like she told him to come back. Let me go back over that again.
What's crazy is that he would leave, come here, and she would call and tell him to come back, and she would come and get him. So she had the car, he didn't have a car.
Right.
So
you said that he sounded calm.
He was calm, relaxed. Like he would. I can tell because my brother's been drinking for a long time. We tried to get him help before.
Right.
And I can tell when he was like really drunk, and he wasn't that drunk that night.
He wasn't.
So
okay. This was the night. It was 7:30 p.m. the night the incident occurred. And he says that he could tell by talking to George that he wasn't drunk, which means that she was probably the one that drank all the wine. Like I said before, guys, I saw one picture where George had a beer bottle on the table outside. I think beer was his preferred choice of drink. I just feel like he's drinking beer. Yeah, he's an alcoholic. He's drinking beer. He's not drinking wine. I don't know. It's just a thought.
When you're describing him as calm, that's an indication that he hadn't been drinking that much.
That he was that drunk. No.
Okay. So when he's been drinking, does he get really excited?
Sometimes he gets excited, and you can tell he like slurs his words, and and I can tell like he gets really emotional, and sometimes starts crying and.
Okay.
Not that he gets angry and throws stuff or hits things. He gets emotional and starts crying. It's the opposite of Sarah.
None of that happened.
No, none of that.
What'd she say?
Really emotional.
None of that happened.
No, none of that.
Oh, she said none of that happened that night. Okay. So he wasn't emotional and crying that night.
Have you ever witnessed them physically fight?
I've seen them because I've been to their house and she's come out all crazy. I went over with my wife and they had called me to go over there. She had called me to go over there.
Sarah?
Sarah had.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'll come over. That he wanted to see me. So I went over. And as soon as I get there, she comes out crazy because she had saw some guy peeing around the corner. And she was trying to fight the guy and argue with the guy. And my brother was like, yo, calm down, B.
It sounds like if she's outside fighting with people, she was drunk. That's what I'm picking up from that.
Just calm down. And it was like, I went to that. That's why I would try to avoid everything. Like, I would call, whenever he called me, I talked to him. I tried to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always, like, they were always.
Did she physically touch George, or was she just getting really upset and
upset? Like she came out upset. But there's a person, I can't remember, somebody seen him because he was on a bike one day and he told me, I can't remember the person it was because he was on a bicycle and she hit him with the car and I can't remember who the person was.
See, that's where that, I don't know if you guys remember, but I previously brought up a witness that they had spoken to that worked at a car body shop. And I'd kind of thought that was linked to where Sarah had hit somebody on a bike, because this is the interview that it was mentioned. But it doesn't seem like he knows a whole lot about it. And I don't know if anything else has been said about it.
And he told me.
Okay. Have you ever seen any marks on George?
Yeah, around his neck, eye.
Like what kind of marks?
Like the time she hit him with the phone.
Okay.
He had a black eye, scratches all over his neck.
Would you see Sarah every time you saw George?
Off and on. Like if I would go over there, I would see her with him. And then sometimes if he ever came here, I would see him. Or sometimes when I would go over there, he would just come out and I wouldn't see him.
So you more saw your brother than Sarah?
I think it was equal.
Equal?
Because I've seen her. Sometimes she had marks and stuff. So
and what do you mean by marks?
Like bruises and stuff too. They used to beat each other.
And where were her bruises be?
I've seen on her arm, black eyes too.
Okay. Did George ever confide in you about their domestic problems? Like, did he ever tell you? Is there anything else that he's ever told you about him and Sarah? Any arguments? Any physical altercations?
No, he didn't really like to talk about it like that. Like everybody knew it. Right. Like they used to come here and fight and stuff. Okay. And my mom wouldn't like it and tell them to go.
Right.
I kind of feel like it's one of those, it's the family's elephant in the room that nobody talks about. They probably would get together a lot without George, unfortunately, because they didn't want Sarah to come.
And I know.
Well, wait, I know a lot of them lived at the address where his mom lived too, though. I know Moses lived there, and was his wife living there? But you guys, Juan is the brother, the one that we're listening to. He's the brother that has no arrest history. I think he has good. I think he's of good character, and I think that he is going to be a good witness for the prosecution. And I think the defense is going to find it difficult to make him look bad to the jury.
One day she came. It's been maybe like 2 months. My dad, because she always tried to hug everybody. Everybody didn't want to be hugging like that.
She's touchy again. That's the second person that said that.
She pushed my dad, and my dad fell.
Yeah.
So.
She pushed the dad, and the dad fell. Now, this is an older man. Have you guys seen the picture of his mom? How old she is? His dad probably wasn't much younger, if not older. And I want to say they're in their 70s. Yeah, the report I pulled said that they were in their 70s. So she pushed his father down. So in other words, she was probably drinking again. I don't think she acts up when she's not drinking. I think she's pretty normal. I mean, she's still a narcissist, but she's normal. I think the prosecution is going to go in on that comment. I'm sure they've already questioned him in the deposition, wanting to know what happened there. Why did she push your dad? Was she drinking? Did she push him on accident? Because that could really be a damning thing to hear, that she pushed a 70-something-year-old man.
Would they always, would Sarah always be intoxicated when you saw her?
Most of the time.
And what about George?
There was times he was not, he had drank, but he wasn't like drunk. Like he would try to like eat and try to have her eat because they was always drinking so much. So he was like, we need to eat something. But
now he said that about George wasn't eating. I think that happens a lot with alcoholics. They don't eat enough, and that's why you see a lot of skinny alcoholics. I guess it just depends on your body, but I know that in a previous video, I've noticed that in all of the documents that we've looked at one point in the summer of 2019, George weighed 120 pounds. And then when he went into jail because of their altercations, he was in there a while. And after he came out, right around the time that he was going into court or something else had happened and they did another weight thing on him, he weighed 140 pounds. And my thought was that he wasn't drinking. He had been in jail. He wasn't drinking. He was out doing he was on road work assignment. He was still incarcerated, but they took him out and did this side of the road work. So he was muscling up a little bit, but also he was probably eating better since he wasn't drinking.
Did you, like a couple of years ago, did you and your brother have any kind of a falling out? Did you guys get into an argument, a fist fight, or anything?
No. See,
has he gotten into a physical altercation with any of your brothers?
With Farrell, he did. The one that had the long hair.
The curly hair?
Yeah.
Okay. Farrell is the one that was arrested for stabbing his girlfriend, his baby mama.
With him, but it was just...
How severe of a fight was this, though?
Not brothers.
Did he
Anybody go to the hospital?
No, nothing like that.
Anybody have like bloodied lips, broken noses, anything like that?
Broken eye?
No. Oh, he had with my other brother too, with
Moses.
George had one
like bloodied lips, broken noses, anything like that?
Broken eye?
No. Oh, he had with my other brother too, with Mo. George had went to the hospital.
George went to the hospital.
Bloodied lips, broken noses, anything like that?
Broken eye?
No. Oh, he had with my other brother too, with Mo. George had went to the hospital.
George went to the hospital.
Yeah, George.
And it was a few years ago, 2 years ago, maybe 2.5.
That happened because she said they was drunk. They was at my Mo's house, at Moses' house. That's the other one.
Moses.
His name is Moses.
Is it last name Torres?
Torres.
Okay.
They had got into it because Sarah had came and said that George had beat her, and then they got into it. But I wasn't there that day. Moses he can tell you about that.
So we know that Moses is going to be called to the stand because at one point, well, I know we have a new defense attorney involved, but when Padilla was on the case as the attorney, they had depositions Moses, but they had also sent him a subpoena to appear in court. So I feel like that was when that was 3 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, when they actually had a trial date coming up and was going to happen. But the fight was over Sarah. That's just crazy to me. Now, Moses has a charge of domestic violence with his wife, but I don't know what the circumstances are around it. I don't know if he was the one that caused it or if his wife caused it. I don't know.
But George did go to the hospital.
George went. George was in the hospital for that.
Do you remember what injuries he sustained?
Something in his eye socket.
The nose, maybe?
I think his nose too. But something was wrong with his
Orbital.
Yeah, the orbital. Yeah.
That must be the surgery that Sarah mentioned.
All right. Is there anything else that you think is important for us to know about your brother or Sarah and their relationship? I'm assuming the 4-minute conversation, he was just kind of like, you guys were just talking at first.
At first, just talking. I would notice that he was okay. It wasn't a fight.
He said he was joking with your kids, and then you hear Sarah in the background,
and then that's when Sarah came.
And then you let him go, or he let you go.
Because he was like, my niece and nephew, they can hear you, like. So I was like, he was like, all right, fine, then.
Okay.
How did she?
So he had George on speakerphone. Now, I wish they would have re-interviewed him here instead of using her language in it, but let him speak once again. But apparently they had, when they first began talking with him before they were recording it, he had told her more about the conversation, because she says something about a 4-minute conversation. He was talking to the nieces and nephews. I hate this detective.
How did she sound?
She sounded like crazy, like she always did. Like,
that's the second time he's called Sarah crazy. He said she was always acting crazy.
Like, she was always like that, crazy. Like, she would just start yelling.
She was the instigator.
Was she yelling any kind of threats or anything?
No. She was just saying about calling her brother.
I'm not a doctor, but from what I've known from the DV cases and whatnot, what I've seen is that usually a battered person is more quiet, scared to ruffle any feathers, scared to make any kind of bad moves that's going to upset the other one. Nothing in what we've heard about Sarah says that. Nothing shows to me that he was the dominant in the batter case. Sarah always started it. Sarah instigated it. And we've said it over and over again. I know you guys have said it in the comments. I've read it. We just think that he was the battered person in the relationship. She started the fights. She kept going. He would get triggered. He would fight back. She would call the cops. He would get arrested. He always looked. And listening to what the lady on Nancy Grace said, which I'm going to do that here shortly. The psychologist on Nancy Grace made a comment about how she felt that it was all premeditated, that Sarah had kind of planned this. And I don't know. I don't know if Sarah's that smart. To me, it was not. It was less planned, as it was more, okay, Sarah's bored. She needs attention from somebody, and she's not getting it from George. So let's call the cops. I just kind of picked that up on it.
Okay, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you promise and swear everything we've talked about has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, this ends the recording 13:35.
Once again, this female detective interrupts the person. I'm going off on this video. I can't stand the female detective, y'all. I'm sorry. I cannot.
I don't think you all understand who I am. I mean, I've always been a straight-A student.
Have you been drinking?
I have a drink. I am an outstanding mother to my son.
It's her day to pick up the kid, but
okay.
It doesn't always happen. 1 or 2 days a week, maybe she gets him.
Go back inside. Jesus.
Do you need Jesus right now? I excel at everything.
She hasn't worked for over 2 years. I mean, she was always calling to borrow money, and it's been like 2 years since she got a job.
Babe, I had no idea.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you for watching, everyone. And listen, if you were enjoying those weekly crime news reports that I was doing, where we hopped around from topic to topic and gave about 2 to 3 minutes on each, I have started a sub-channel dedicated to crime news only. So please check out the link to that channel down in the description box below. And if you don't mind, subscribe so you can be notified next time I upload a video. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and feel free to leave a comment. Have a blessed day.